So for today's video, I'm going to be redrawing my old art. So let's get right into it. I'm going to grab my traditional art binder here and show y'all what I'll be redrawing today. So this is my newer art, but I still have my old art in the back here. So all of this here is fairly recent here. So I'm going to flip through, show y'all a couple pages. For those of you who've been subscribed to my channel, you may recognize this one. You may recognize this one from when I did watercolors. So let's flip and let's show you the art I'm gonna be redrawing today. I've already picked it out. I'm not gonna subject y'all to my cringy art from when I was a teenager. So this is the piece I'm gonna be doing today. And as you can see here, it's very, very old. So let me show you the actual date on it, because when I was younger, I used to actually sign and date my pictures. Got my name covered up for obvious reasons, but the date on it is April 3rd, 2005. So yeah, 17 years ago. Very, very, very old. And you can tell that it was drawn by a 14-year-old. I mean, you got colored pencils, check. Inked by Sharpie lines here, check. Wink because I was too lazy to draw the other eye, check. It's definitely, you know, peak beginner weeb drawing here. Now this character here, I believe her name was Leona, and I think her deal was she was half tiger and she also controlled fire, hence the red kimono here. And her story was that she, as well as 4 other people who coincidentally controlled the other 4 elements, get stuck together and they go on a quest to find this ancient artifact that can right all of their wrongs. Now, I wonder if there was an anime from the 2000s that featured a character that wore red, that got stuck with 4 other people on a quest to find an ancient artifact that could right everyone's wrongs. Yeah, the anime influence was really strong back then. But yeah, anyway, I have my piece here. So let's see if we can do this justice in 2022. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, voiceover time. So first things first, right now I'm just doing a very basic sketch to get the basic shapes down. I'm using a basic red pencil, nothing special. I do want to apologize in advance if you see me moving my sketchbook around a lot in the beginning. It does get fixed later. This is my first time doing an overhead angle, and I found out it's a real challenge for me because I like to rotate my paper and get really close to the paper so I can see what I'm doing. But I want y'all to be able to see what I'm doing, so please bear with me. This is a learning experience. So if you see my head wrap or my glasses poking in the lower left corner, no, you didn't. Mind your business. So now what I'm doing is just working out how her hair is gonna look like, getting the basic shapes in there, getting like the little blonde parts over here, the really curly parts, seeing how they're gonna work out here. And then I'm gonna move on to the brown part of her hair and then working out those shapes there and getting those stripes in there. Can't forget those. Now, I know in the old version, she has this collar, but in the new version, I decided to take it out because I think it looks ridiculous. You know, my character, growth. Let's just say she grew up. So now I'm gonna work in her eyes and the details on her face, get that going. Again, just real simple, nothing crazy. We're just starting basic and then slowly working in the details here. And then at this point, I'm gonna sign it and move on to my lines. Now, this part I forgot to record, but basically what I did was I erased the sketch that I did with the red pencil, and then now I'm going over it with my Prismacolor pencils, and I'm basically doing the lines with these pencils. What I want to try doing, since I'm going to color this with markers, is use colored pencils because I hear they blend really well, so I want to try that out on this picture. So as you can see here, I'm just adding in a few more details with the colored pencils before I move on to colors. So we got her stripes, her eyebrows. I think I want to finish up her eyes a little bit, make sure everything looks good. Looking good. Now let's color. So real quick, before you do any type of coloring with markers, always make sure that you plan your colors out. Get you a scrap piece of paper and take your markers and test out. That way you can see what the colors are going to look like on the paper. So you kind of see here, I did one like for her eyes, experimented with her skin here, and then the red in her kimono, her hair, the blonde part and the brown part, everything in the picture. So definitely just make sure you do that before you start coloring. It will save you so much time and a whole bunch of headaches. This is not digital art, Ain't no control Z, but y'all be safe out there. All right, and now we are moving on to color. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm using alcohol markers to color this piece, and I'm using a whole bunch of different brands. I got Copic, Prismacolor, Bianyo, Ohuhu, as well as those cheap Missouri ones you get from Walmart. All of them, I don't discriminate. Markers are markers. So now I'm just working in her skin, getting her lips in there, adding the shadows, just getting the real basic colors in there first before I try to do anything fancy. Doing her blush and then just kind of outlining everything there. Real simple. So now I'm just working in her skin, making sure everything looks good. And then I want to add some more detail to her lips because in the first picture I didn't really have much detail. So I kind of want to flex that I know how to do lips. So, you know, don't mind me. I'm just over here trying to be great. And now I think I'm going to move on. I think at this point I started to move on to her eyes, and I'm just kind of putting my markers up so I don't leave a mess there. And here, I'm just taking my 3 colors that I picked for her eyes and blending those together. The thing about alcohol markers is you definitely have to make sure you work fast if you want nice blended colors. They will dry up on you so quick. It's not even funny. So I'm definitely trying to do that here. I think I did pretty well. And then I worked in the little shadow in her eyes. And then I used the colorless blender to kind of blend it out. So now we're working on her hair, just making sure that looks good. All right, and then at this point, I'm gonna move on to her clothes after I get done with her face. I wanted to add a little bit more color to her face. So that's what I'm doing there. There we go. I think at this point, I move on to her clothes. So I'm using that little green that I have there, the color of the inside of her kimono there. And just doing another layer because that's dry. And it does not look like it, but I struggled so hard with this. Let me just take the time to say right now, I can't stand chisel dip markers. Just give me brush or give me fine tip. I can't stand them. The only reason I used it is because I needed this color. It was the closest thing to her original color in the old pic, but I struggled. So now I'm just working in the rest of her clothes there. There we go, looking good. And now I'm just switching out my colors to get that little orange part of the robe there. Not quite as red as the original, but it'll work for what we got. It looks fine. And now I'm using my darker colors to kind of shade in the clothes a little bit. Just give a little bit of shadow, nothing too crazy. There we go. Okay. And here comes the fun part. So now I'm working on the blonde parts of her hair. Again, doesn't look like it, but I had a lot of fun doing this. Just blending the colors, using the fine tip to really get in the areas I want to get into, to work in those shadows. You can't really tell on video, but it looks so much better in person. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. And once I'm done with that, I'm gonna move on to the dark brown part of her hair, which I equally had fun with there. So at this point, I start to move on to the dark brown part of her hair. So I'm just gonna go in like I've done with every other part of the picture and just start with a flat base color. And then since I've colored most of everything else, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't color outside of the lines per se. So I'm just going in, making sure I got everything nice and good and flat. Looks good. Okay. And then this is where I start my shading. And I try to keep it simple when I start out. And then I can add in the nice shadows later. But for right now, just basic. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my darker color and then start to feather in the darker colors to kind of show the texture of the hair there. That way you can see the lighter parts and the darker parts. And then I'll use that orangey color, as you just saw me do, to kind of make a highlight of the hair. So it kind of brings the warmness out of it. It looks really nice once it dries up. So that's what I'm doing with the hair. It's looking really good. So now I'm just taking my colored pencils and then just adding some finishing touches. I'm going over the hair, just trying to make the highlights pop a little bit. I had a gap there the whole time and I just realized it just then. So I colored that in, and then I'm just going back in with my colored pencils and just trying to give certain things that need texture. And then I'm just gonna go over my lines real quick now that I have the color, and see now it pops a little bit more. So that's what I'm doing there with my lines. Purple seems to be my favorite color in terms of line art. I don't know why, it just is. It seems to go with every color. So I use that, and then I use my gel pen to get the highlights of her eyes in there, sign it real good. And then I'm gonna just work that blush in with that pink pencil there. And then now I'm working on my background. I just wanted to give something simple. One day I'll do a proper background. Today ain't gonna be one of those days, but one day. And I chose purple because, again, why not? It's a nice color. It contrasts with all of the other colors in the picture. So I just wanted to do something simple there. So I'm just filling that in slowly but surely. My light purple markers are just about dry because I use them so much. But I'm doing the best I can here. So I'm just getting that in there. And we're done. And that wraps up my redraw. I love how this came out, and it definitely shows how far I've come in terms of drawing traditionally, so I'm pretty proud of it, and I might do it again. I don't know, we'll see. Do y'all want to see me redraw more of my old art? Let me know in the comments and give me a big old like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. As always, let me know any more art things you want me to try out, and you might see it in my next video. Till then, thanks for watching and see you soon. Holla.